When I was young, my dad would go out of his way to plan these big, elaborate days with each of my siblings and myself. He'd find a common interest and make an entire day out of whatever activity that included. For his days with me, we would cook. We'd get up early and make a big breakfast for my whole family, and they'd all sleep right through it. So we'd wrap it all up in the fridge for them to eat whenever they actually woke up. We would go out to a farmer's market with no plan and no purpose and pull together a picnic lunch out of whatever caught our eye. Most commonly an assortment of samples, fresh fruits, and fancy cheeses. We would go into kitchen supply stores and window shop and daydream our perfect kitchen until we got knocked out of our days by ferociously growling stomachs. Then we'd find a park somewhere around us and sit out in the grass, eating whatever we had pulled together earlier that day. My days with my dad are something I'll never forget. When I was in middle school, my dad was appointed to a new church, and we moved across Arkansas to a new town to start a new chapter of our lives. We're a Methodist family through and through, so we're used to moving around. A week before Thanksgiving, a woman in that new church decided she wanted to serve a free Thanksgiving meal to our community, and telling her that a week just wasn't enough time to do something like that almost broke my dad's heart. But with the idea fresh in his mind, he gave me a call, and we got to work. Our church put together a meal for Christmas Day lunch, and the outcome far exceeded our expectations. 75 people showed up first thing Christmas morning, giving up their Christmas to feed the people in our neighborhood. We had 300 people walk into the church from the neighborhood around us to eat with us, and after lunch, 300 more meals were delivered all over downtown Little Rock. We gave out as many meals as the homeless shelters around us would take, and passed the rest out to anyone we saw on the street. Sitting and talking with these people changed my life. Serving people in God's name gave me a feeling unlike anything I've ever experienced. I felt connected with those serving with me, with those being served, and with Christ in a way I'll never forget. These people were hungry, cold, and alone on Christmas Day, but I was able to be a part of something that made them happy, if only for a moment. This meal went on to become Mission 5000, the largest soup kitchen in Arkansas. It provides meals every Wednesday evening and Saturday afternoon, and allows each individual to take up to 3 to-go boxes with them during each visit. It can sustain a person all week long, so they never have to question where their next meal is coming from again. The church slowly started to see people join Bible studies, come to youth group, and eventually join the church. Events were scheduled right around the time of the meal, and transportation was provided afterwards. Beautiful things came from this meal, and beautiful things are still coming. There is no separation of everyday things like food and faith in my mind. My faith is driven by this desire to be fed spiritually and to help feed others physically. In the book of Matthew, Jesus does an incredible thing, multiplying fish and loaves of bread to provide nourishment for everyone gathered. Because of this, no one has to leave the crowd, and Jesus can continue to teach and minister. He proves himself as God's Son by providing this meal for everyone there. Whether you believe in God or not, it's impossible to deny the impact this would have had. Therein lies the inspiration for the name Mission 5000, feeding the body so that the soul can be fed. A person cannot come to belong in a community and get to know God until they're fed physically. One sees this lack of love and community in a modern-day homeless just as clearly as when they look at Depression-era artwork, such as the Depression Breadline by George Segal. When I look at this piece in particular, I see the same facial expressions as the hungry on the streets of Little Rock. I see the same despair as the men and women walking through the serving lines of Mission 5000. But under it all, I see that same graciousness of their hearts and their souls when they receive this warm meal and a kind smile. This piece shows the hard times so prevalent in the Depression era and highlights the times still prevalent all over America as people continue to wait in bread lines to this day. This piece also shows hope. Things have gotten better since the Great Depression. Even though we often think there's nothing we could do, we can make a difference. People make a difference every day with only a couple of dollars or a kind smile. Projects like a soup kitchen in a small church can grow into something incredible, and you never know how much you can impact until you try.